Hey, it's Sammy and Natalie here, and welcome to the Anxiety Compass, where anxiety isn't the enemy, it's our tour guide. We'll swap stories, share tools, and have a laugh while we find our way back to true north. Come along. Everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Anxiety Compass. How are you, Nat?
I'm really great. Sammy, how are you?
Good. I wonder one of these days when I ask you, how are you going? And you go, I'm terrible. I've had a terrible day. Because that
Well,
seems to be the same
sometimes, well,
thing.
sometimes I do have, stresses going on and full disclosure, we have long conversations before we hit record. So if
Yes,
we
we
do have
do.
things going on,
And IT
we're able to
malfunctions.
talk about them. And so by the time we hit record, I'm
It
actually
feels pretty good.
I'm good.
Yay, I
So,
love that. Oh, so good. So today, I've got a book right near me that a GP actually, it was an integrated doctor referred to me on adrenal fatigue. And I'm
mm,
noticing out in the world and in your clinic space and everything like that, that women are burning their bodies out. And this is something that I actually did. I have experience in this, and we'll talk about your experience because yours was a little bit different. But for me, I burned out. I shut my clinic down because of it. That was one of the reasons, one of the many reasons. But I was running on adrenaline, basically. Go, 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 do, little kids, being the perfect mom, being the perfect, all the things, because, that's a high functioning, anxious person. And I was also really committed to every single client that came into my clinic. I wanted the best outcome for them, that all their
yeah.
worries and woes became mine. And it was so
Mm,
heavy, Nat, like so heavy that yeah, I couldn't stop. And so for me, behind the scenes, everything was slowly burning out. My thyroid, my adrenal glands, to the point that one day I could not pick up my child. I couldn't walk. I was
mm,
struggling to even breathe. Like it got that bad that
yeah.
I felt like when I woke up, when your cortisol is supposed to be through the roof, I actually was waking up no longer at 3 a.m. with ready to take on the world because I was living on adrenaline. I couldn't produce cortisol anymore. And
Yeah.
I felt like I'd been hit by a truck, and even like under my eyes, big black rings. I had to stop. I was forced to stop. And it was slowly burning in the background to the point where I couldn't do it anymore. I basically burned out my engines. I was running the
Yeah.
car on full throttle. I think we've talked about me having a Ferrari with bicycle brakes before.
Yeah. Yes.
And
Yeah.
I was running on full throttle for years. And when I
Mm,
actually, because in this book it has a timeline, 10 to 20 years I'd been doing this.
yeah.
And you can pinpoint all the times that you were meant to stop. Like even after giving birth, like I had like
Mm,
terrible births, like they were full on to the point where I was throwing up. I was in that much pain. But I continued to go
yeah.
and build businesses, and I can do this. Rest is for the
Yeah.
wicked. I can't stop until you
Yeah. And
have
even
to.
our society, that's a really good point about, after giving birth,
Mm. I went straight back to it.
traditionally,
I was working in the
well,
hospital.
yeah, that reminds me of actually a scene. It was from Friends. I don't know if you remember when Phoebe
Oh, when
had
they went
a
back.
heart attack. Yeah,
Yes.
when they went, yeah, so it
Alternate
was like an
lives.
alternate life,
Yes.
and she'd had the heart attack, and she was sitting in hospital, because she was
On the
this big
phone.
businesswoman, and on the phone, and like, go, 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 yeah, yeah, got to do everything. I don't have time to be sick
Didn't
and
she
have a
get
heart attack.
fired?
I think so. I can't remember. Yes, but that exactly, our society, especially around, well, giving birth or taking time off because we're not well,
Yeah.
it's it's
Frowned
it's
upon.
frowned upon.
But
Yeah.
I find women in particular are praised for overdoing it. Like, wow, she can do it
Oh,
all.
yes.
Look at her
Yes.
go. She's amazing.
Yeah, in women in the 80s, we were told you can do it all, you can have it all. And I just want to add a little caveat there that yes, as women, we can do anything we want, just not all at once.
I missed
That's
the memo.
that's the yeah, that's the clincher, right?
Oh my God.
That's where we end up, and that has carried through, you know,
Yeah,
the years, the decades. That yes, you can have it
women
all, you can do
rule.
it all, you can be a mother, you can have run a business, or work full time, and have amazing friends, and have a great social life, and
Yeah, it's society is too much now, like with all the notifications
way
and everything.
too
We
much.
talked about that. But yours was slightly
Mm,
different. Like mine was a burnout over 10, 20, 30 years. Like I'm even seeing that like these women that were coming into my clinic were 40, 50, 60, even 70-year-olds where they had felt guilty for slowing down because they
yeah,
conditioned their body to continue to do that they had to stop when they burned out. But for
yeah.
you, yours was like different, your experience.
Well, yeah, exactly. I went beyond burnout. I probably was
Beyond burnout.
experiencing burnout. I went, yeah, beyond
Yeah.
burnout into a full on breakdown.
Yeah.
And there are differences. I mean, a breakdown is not a medical official medical diagnosis, but it is known. Like even my own like the doctor that was attending me when I had my breakdown when I was taken to hospital, she actually used those words. Like, sweetie, you've actually just had a full breakdown, like complete breakdown was her exact words. Um, you know, the,
You there?
so yeah, sorry, my brain is now not
Oh, I
working.
thought you were frozen
No,
because
I know, and I knew that.
you have to do this
Sorry,
when you're
today's
thinking.
just not working. So yeah, nervous breakdown is not an official medical diagnosis. It's a non-clinical term that people are commonly use to describe a point where someone can no longer function psychologically or emotionally in their usual way. So the difference between like a breakdown is much more acute.
Mm,
So women usually have been experiencing burnout. And when they ignore the signals, it can go, this is extreme, but it can go beyond. And then a breakdown, that is acute. That's like an instant. For me, it was an instant thing. I was sitting
yeah.
at work one day, woke up that morning. I think I've discussed this a bit previously. Woke up, I just felt tight in the chest, not like
Mm,
just, it was severe anxiety. I didn't realize that at the time because, I didn't really experience those severe anxiety and panic attack symptoms until after the breakdown. But it just didn't feel great. Like, that was just heavy. Went to work, was working all day. About 1 o'clock, phone rang, and I just had like a breakdown. Like, I just
mm.
literally, something snapped in me. I just broke. So that's usually what a breakdown is. It's much more acute.
Yep.
Um, and it's harder to hide. Like, when we've got in burnout, we can
Yeah. Hide at
often
home on
still
the couch
function
with your
until,
Netflix. Hide in the
yes,
couch with Netflix and a bucket
yes.
and I was about to say a bucket of ice cream. Could be a bucket of ice cream.
Yeah, yeah,
Slowly
yeah,
burning
absolutely.
out in the
That block
back.
of chocolate,
This one
yes.
happens out in public. I've seen like YouTube videos and that of women that have been recorded having a mental and physical breakdown in public and people laugh and it's like it's not
Yeah.
cool. It's not cool. It actually
No, it's awful. I
I
had people laugh at me when I would be like having, a meltdown, a
yeah.
breakdown in public, if I was in a shopping center, like full on panic attack, and just bawling my eyes out. Because that's another thing, is like that inability to stop
And stop
crying,
your
unable
emotions.
to get out of bed, that
Yeah.
complete diссociation, emotional
Do
collapse,
that. Yeah,
inability to work or cope at all.
I find like women who are burning at both ends of the stick, let's just say that,
Yeah.
they become quite emotional. Like I was very emotional. My liver was
Mm,
not doing well as well. So I was quite angry, snappy.
yes.
I'm seeing a lot of women who are very snappy. And
Hmm.
my heart goes out to them because they snap at me and I'm like, okay, something's not going okay in that person's life. I'm going to just, as the book goes, how to not give a beep. There's only so much you can give. And I find
Yeah,
some women you can't engage with their overstimulation, snappiness, and emotional outbursts because you got to bring in some compassion. I can't talk. Anyway,
absolutely.
moving on. I think some women and particularly those that are probably listening don't realize they're burning out because they've lived in this survival mode for so long that it feels normal for them. And so, yeah, we
Yes.
want to to talk about that today, which we've already been talking about for the last 10 minutes. But why are women burning out? Well, we talked about the pressure to do it all. I find that we've created this system for women for hyper independence. Do you find that,
Yes.
as you were saying, women can do it all, that um, we're trying to raise children on our own and run businesses and we don't need help.
No,
That's a sign of weakness.
I can do
At
it all.
all. You do it.
Exactly.
Look how amazing I am. Give me praise.
Or exactly. Or I can do it better, so I'll just do it myself.
Yes. And I find women are addicted to productivity. So I find it really hard to slow down. I'm getting better at it because I know the signs of when I'm on my way to a burnout.
Yeah,
And yeah, the idea of I will rest when it's all done, like that, it's never done.
exactly.
It's
Absolutely.
never done.
No, and look, I went into burnout a couple of weeks ago. Just it just was a lot going on. Busy clinic, busy work, you know, things happening in my personal life, and it just
Mm.
all came to a head. And I literally just had to lie down for 5 days.
Yeah.
I just, before I headed into complete burnout and, all the associated things that
Symptoms
go
and
along with that,
signs. Yeah.
I listened to my body because, been there, done that, got the t-shirt, don't want to go back there again. So literally just stopped for 5 days.
Yep.
And you know what? The sky didn't fall in.
Yeah, I know
I
what you're
didn't lose
saying.
my business over it. I came
I
back
find
refreshed.
though, like, because you've had to slow down in the past, I find there's a lot of women that would come to see me and they would actually feel more anxious slowing down.
Dropping
Like,
down. Oh, absolutely. I
yeah,
see that with the women in my clinic as well. Absolutely.
yeah.
You can
It's
see
like
the
they
panic
can't.
rising when you suggest that maybe you can slow down. And
Yeah.
you look at what it's doing to the body. I mean, a classic thing is how many people go away on holidays and get sick?
Yes, that is so true.
That
It's
is a classic sign
now's
that
the time
your
to
body is
repair.
actually in burnout because you've
Yeah.
finally stopped and it just crashes and burns and you
Yeah.
get sick while you're on holidays.
That's so
Ah,
true. I get
mm,
the podcast being anxiety compass. Anxiety is like an alarm system. It's signaling and pointing out things, and this
yes.
is what it's telling you to slow down. And yeah, we've built this nice little routine of being over productive. That it's
Mm,
not your nervous system freaks out when you start to slow down, but I mean, rest can feel unsafe when your nervous system is addicted to survival, guys. It's just the way it is. We wanted
yeah.
to talk more, like, we don't go too sciencey in this show, but I wanted to sort of talk more on the cortisol because that's what burnout is. It's not really recognized by doctors. Often, when you talk about adrenal fatigue, a lot of GPs will think Cushing's disease or one of these,
Mm,
clinical things. If you go to an integrated doctor or an allied health practitioner, they definitely know there is a point in between having an actual disease with your adrenal glands and burnout. I've actually had someone tell me that burnout isn't a thing, it's made up. Whereas
yeah.
I've seen on the paper with the cortisol salivary test the
Yep.
way that your body, releases cortisol. And for me, it was flatlined. And you've mentioned yours was
Yep.
flatlined as well. That is
Yeah.
an actual thing going on there. Um,
Yes.
Cortisol is your
That's a
main stress
biochemical
hormone.
thing going on. It's biochemistry.
Absolutely. So I call BS on that, and I think it needs more
Yeah.
research done. I've actually
Yeah,
got
I
a whole
agree.
book here, and it's called Adrenal Fatigue: The 21st Century Stress Syndrome. It's a fantastic book by James L. Wilson that was recommended to me. I mean, not everything in it I take, take what you can and leave the rest. There are bits in it to talk about nutrition, which I'm not 100% agreement on, but it's definitely something to read to go a little bit more into that. But when we talk about cortisol, cortisol is there to help stabilize blood sugar. It's there for your energy. As I was mentioning, cortisol, cortisone, inflammation, like it helps with inflammation. When you have too much cortisol, that's an issue. When you don't have any cortisol, that's an issue. And that was where I was at. I don't know if you can hear
Yeah.
that lovely plane in the background. I've decided to record outside today, and
Mm.
we've got a few challenges, but that's okay. Let's keep going.
Yes.
Cortisol. impacts on your sleep. Like if you have no cortisol, that can impact on your sleep as well. And
Mm,
blood pressure. I actually had extremely low blood pressure to the point where
me too.
I was so cold all the time. Um,
Yep.
my
Yep.
youngest son would always grab the back of my arms and say, I love your cold arms. And I never really thought much of it until I realized that was a sign.
Yes. No, I was exactly the same. Really low blood pressure.
Yeah. So, and feeling dizzy all the time as well.
Hmm.
So, um,
Did you,
yeah,
when you were sitting, like I always found I used to get so dizzy, like I'd just be sitting there, like not moving.
yeah.
And then I'd literally have to grip the sides of the chair because like
Oh,
all of a sudden I
yeah.
was
The
getting,
vertigo.
yeah,
I had
our poor
tested for
bodies.
many years and all sorts, but I realized it was just really low blood pressure. And that was
Yeah,
because I had no cortisol in my body. There were so many things that were
exactly.
happening. Uh, yeah, so my body was stuck in flight or fight. And for I'm going to say 10, 20 years, it had been pumping cortisol and adrenaline constantly. Like I mentioned before, I was waking up at 3 a.m. and I thought this was normal. I had so much energy, Nat, that I'd get
Mm,
up, I'd do all my housework, then I'd make all the lunches and get everything ready to go. I'd take the dog for a walk at 4:30 in the morning. I'd already done everything by midday.
yeah.
Midday was like 9 p.m. for me. I'd already I'd already done
Yeah.
everything. And I was like, I can't understand why people don't have any energy. Like isn't this like I'm full of energy. I'm full of life. This was my body producing way too much cortisol, and I
Yes.
didn't think anything of it. Um,
No, because that was your normal,
yeah,
right?
yeah, it
Yeah.
was. Yeah. So yeah, I mentioned the salivary cortisol test, and I've had a lot of people interested in that. Do you want to maybe mention, like, do you use the salivary cortisol test at all?
All the time. Yeah, a
Yeah,
lot.
there's different
Even
ones you can
syndicated.
do as well.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
never do the blood test. I've always done the saliva.
No,
Gives
I
you a
do the
better,
24-hour salivary
yeah,
test to see so we can track the cortisol over a full 24 hours to see exactly what it's doing rather than just a snapshot of cortisol, which is what GPs will often just test,
yeah.
which tells us not a lot, because
Mm,
obviously, yeah, as you mentioned, Sammy, our cortisol gently rises in the morning. So
hmm.
there's a nice gentle rise because that's what wakes us up. That's the hormone
Yes,
that wakes us up. And then it slowly starts coming down after we've woken up. And we've spoken before about ways to help reduce that cortisol first thing in the morning by eating within 30 to 60 minutes of waking up, avoiding coffee before food, getting that early morning sunlight on the eyes. And then, yeah, it has a gentle lowering during the day so that, and then, that when it gets to that low point, that's when our melatonin kicks in
mm,
and we get sleepy over nighttime. That's
yes,
a normal cortisol patterning.
yeah,
It's not like absolutely like, it goes up and then down. It undulates
yeah,
slightly during the day, especially if, because it responds to stresses in the day. And that's another thing that when we do that 24-hour stress um, uh,
you can see.
tracking, we can see so that if it starts
Mm.
spiking, in the
It's
middle
a
of the
blood
afternoon,
test is
it's
just
like,
I found like when people go and get their bloods done with the GP to check their cortisol, they just test it at 7 in the morning if they're doing a
yeah,
fasting test. And if
yeah,
you're like pushing out a ridiculous amount of cortisol and then it just drops an hour later, like you're not getting that picture
no,
of your blood
exactly.
test. Yeah.
Exactly. And the doctor looks and goes, oh, yeah, no, your cortisol's great in the morning
Yeah.
at 7 a.m. Great.
It's
You're
within
fine.
range.
Yay.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Gosh. And so cortisol comes from our adrenal glands, which sit on top of
Hmm.
our kidneys. It's one of the many glands, like the thyroid gland, the pituitary gland is the master gland, and it sends a message out to all the glands, and adrenal being your stress hormones. But I find a lot of people like we've got this HPA axis. We won't go too much into that. But
No.
you've got your is it hippocampus? No, hypothalamus. Oh my God.
Hypothalamus.
Hyper clearly I teach children now, I don't go into this depth. But yeah, hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenals. So they all sort of work in connection together. And
Yeah,
I often say
synergetically.
the hypothalamus is like the security guard. It's making sure everything's going well. And if something is out, like your blood sugars, little bit of stress, whatever it might be, it sends a message to the CEO, being your pituitary gland, and he sends a message out to all the glands to produce specific hormones, whether it's your
Yeah.
thyroid, whether it's your adrenal glands. And so that's in a nutshell, the HPA axis. And
Mm.
when you have cortisol dysregulation, that hypothalamus is working overtime and constantly getting your pituitary gland to spit out that cortisol, spit it out, spit it out, spit it out. That can be
Yeah.
from simple things like, for me, I had really bad blood sugar balance because I
Mm.
was so stressed. I was eating a lot of sugar to keep me going for energy.
Yeah.
That was a big one for me for stress. It was a dysregulation with blood sugars in my body.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it is for a lot of people, like,
yeah,
reaching for your chocolate or your lollies, or a sweet drink,
yes.
to get you through the day, especially that 3 p.m. crash.
Yeah. And so I found a lot of women who were on their way to burnout, their thyroids were slowly going a little bit burnt as well, in the fact that
Mm.
they were going hypo. Hypo is where you're
Hypo.
not producing as much, slowing down your metabolism, blood pressure slowing down, uh, uh, or it could be the other way, but everything sort of goes
Yeah,
slower to the point where that wasn't functioning. So they were gaining body fat. Like it's sort of all hand in hand. I mean, it can work. Every case is different, but that was what I
exactly.
was seeing more of, the thyroid burning out, which was affecting their sleep, their mood, their energy, their blood sugar, inflammation, like
Yeah.
everything. It was connected, like
Yeah.
the thyroid and cortisol,
Absolutely.
all
And
the
and yeah, it's
things. Yeah.
it's hyper is that more heightened state of anxiety and go, go, go. And that's really where, because hypo, which is
Yeah.
when your TSH rises,
Yes.
um, that's more when you start putting on weight, you're sluggish. So
Yes. See,
you
mine
can,
started
and I
hyper,
see, yeah, I was
yeah,
about to say, I
and
often
then I went
see it a
hypo.
lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Starts in one, and then when you're really getting into that burnt out
Yeah.
stage, that
Like
can then turn into
your glands are
hypo.
like, I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm slowing down.
Yes, it's like I'm done. I'm done. I'm checking out. Thanks. Bye.
Yes,
Yes.
and I felt like, because I had been in hyper, because we've had Graves' disease in the family, so like I
Right.
was like, go, 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 do, do, do. That when my thyroid started, I was latent Hashimoto's, so I was borderline Hashimoto's, to the point where I started with the I'm lazy because I wasn't able to do what I was doing. And so I was struggling, not just physiologically, but psychologically with this. I was so used to doing it. I felt like I'd lost myself, even though that
Yeah.
self was me in a hyper state. I was never in between. It was either up here or down here. There was no in between for me. Did you find
That's
that
it.
at all?
Um, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was going to say though, on that, it's that is actually a big part of burnout is grief
Yeah.
because of that, because you of that, losing yourself, you've lost yourself, you lose your identity if you've gone into complete, crash and burn. Um, so yeah, grief, which is attached to our lungs,
Mm,
from energetics point of view. So if you've got issues with breathing, as well, like sleep apnea, you get a lot of respiratory, infections.
mm,
Look at that as well. Obviously it suppresses our stress, cortisol, high cortisol, adrenal fatigue, burnout. Obviously suppresses our immune system, but from that energetic point of view as well, have a, looking at that
looking
to
at
see
that.
if you're holding grief anywhere.
Yeah.
So from losing yourself, because you do, especially as women, we do lose
Yeah.
ourselves.
With our identity we've created, it seems to go
Yes,
out the door when you hit burnout because you can't
absolutely. But
do what
even
you used
before
to
that,
do.
we lose ourselves in the doing, in the caring,
Yes.
which we have talked about before. So
Yeah.
yeah, taking that step back, there's grief when we've lost ourselves, we've lost our
Yeah.
way, we've lost our own identity because we are immersed in looking after everybody else. And even that
Mm.
perfectionism, that's a turning away from our true selves.
Yep.
You know, we're basically, you know, being the cane wielding teacher. You know, if we want to go back to the 50s, 1950s. But it is, isn't
Gosh.
it? You
It
know?
is. It is. And I said physiologically and psychologically, like physiologically for
Mm.
me, my hair was falling out. My skin wasn't great, like particularly down under my chin, like the hormones. Like I haven't even mentioned hormones. And I find like I'm in my 40s now, a lot of the women in their 50s and that were going through perimenopause or going through menopause, um, one of the things that they didn't understand was you've spent your whole life relying on your ovaries to produce um, progesterone and estrogen, but your adrenal glands actually produce these sex hormones as well. And so when you go through menopause, not your adrenal glands, your ovaries, they
Ovaries.
go into, I know, right? They go into holiday mode. They're gone on a lovely vacation and may not come back. They're on
Yay.
the beach having a lovely cocktail. And all of a sudden, your adrenal glands are responsible for producing these wonderful, calming, and beautiful feminine hormones. But your adrenal glands are too busy producing cortisol
Yeah.
stress. And so all of a sudden you've lost all of these wonderful, beautiful hormones. And yeah, it's not a great thing. So we go through these huge
Mm.
hormonal changes from 40, even late 30s. I'm seeing women in their mid to late 30s going through it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that you get that heightened because it's an anxiety compass podcast. That anxiety
Yeah.
comes through because you don't have the progesterone. Your body's too busy making cortisol from your adrenal glands. Your
Yeah.
ovaries don't make it anymore. So guess what? Your adrenal glands are like, I don't have time to make progesterone to be
Yeah. Sorry.
lifestyle. No. And so we're seeing a lack of sleep when we hit our 40s, uh,
Mm.
emotional sensitivity, and our stress tolerance really does drop. So we turn into these
Drop.
crabby, crabby women. And
Yep.
it's a hormonal thing
It
because
is.
our adrenal glands aren't coping.
Yep. And then again, that immune system suppression, because so, you know, you might notice, you know, you're getting more colds,
Yes, it's me at
you
the
know,
moment.
you're getting sick more often.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's often a good indicator that
Yeah.
something's going on. If you're it's like, yeah, I catch every cold that goes around these days,
Yes.
you
Something's
know.
going on. And I
Yeah.
find like as women, we try to push through. We're like, oh, it's just a season. I'll get through
Mm.
it. You know, you look back in your 20s and 30s. I've gotten over this little hump before. I'm just feeling a little bit anxious. Everything will come good again. And it
Yeah.
doesn't because your
No.
body is screaming for you to recalibrate and fix the compass, and you're just pushing through again. Like, how many
Yep.
times can you push through? I could tell you how many times I have pushed through, and it got to the point where I could no longer do it. I had to
No.
stop, and it was hard. It really was. And so for me, I don't know if this is something you did, Nat, but for me, being a nutritionist, I went straight to fixing myself with supplements. Um,
Mhm.
I dosed myself with zinc, magnesium, all the things. I fixed my B vitamin levels. I even, to the point, the integrated doctor that I was working with, she gave me adrenal supplements. I don't know if you've heard of them. They were from, was it no, it wasn't bovine. It was over. What's the it might have been a sheep or a pig. I don't know. But it was there
Okay.
basically they're dried adrenals and you can take it in tablet form. I know it sounds gross, but that's actually a thing that you can get from an
Mm.
integrated doctor. I think some of the practitioners that we work with can give them out too. But
Yeah.
for me, I was like, I have to fix myself through supplementation. And there's only so much that supplements can do. They can't fix chronic stress and no boundaries and overfunctioning and
No.
emotional overload. They can't fix a lack of rest. Like they
No.
can definitely supplement things that are missing, but you
Yes.
have to do the work to fix that.
Exactly. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I didn't do the supplements because again, this was 1999 when this happened.
Yes.
I didn't the only supplement in inverted commas that I ever took was Barocca
Oh,
because it had some
did you
bees
get
in
your
it
BB
because
bounce back?
Exactly. Because I used to work
Might
in
as well take
musical
some feet
theatre
away,
and
right?
work full time.
Yeah.
I used to just take a Berocca in the
Yeah.
morning so that I could get through. I mean,
Yep.
I had no idea. So, yeah, supplements, apart from the occasional vitamin C, and I used to always take
Yeah.
a garlic supplement. My mum had put
Yes.
me
Oh,
onto that,
I did
but
so
that
much
was it.
vitamin C. I was
Yeah.
to turn an orange, man. The amount of vitamin C, and because it's great. Like these supplements, we're nutritionists. We're very aware these supplements are so fantastic for your adrenal glands. But I was looking for
Mm.
a supplement regime, like a protocol that would
To
help me to
fix.
keep ignoring my body.
Ignore, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's the big thing, and yeah, you can't out supplement
Yes.
lifestyle.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So for women that are listening and they're like, oh my God, this is me. I am totally burning out. I don't know what to do. I'm caught up in this system. Like, what sort of things can they do, Nat? Like, I mean, obviously they could go back and listen to, if you haven't listened to all our podcasts, we give out so much information on how to slow down breathing, like the key
Yeah.
things that the women need. Like, we need it. Like, nobody's ever perfect here. We're all
No,
constantly
no,
healing
no.
at some point in our lives.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said 2 weeks ago, I needed to stop.
Yeah.
Well, of
Big
course, being a
self-awareness.
nutritionist, food is the number one thing. Use food over supplements wherever possible. If food doesn't cut it, then you would go to a good quality supplement. We always suggest don't self prescribe. Go and
Mm.
see a professional because there are vitamin C's and there are vitamin C's. There's also dosage,
Yeah,
um, you know, and timing as well.
absolutely. And I
But
find I was just going to say the supplements that are on the shelf that you can get are nowhere
they're
near to
usually
the
terrible.
amount. Well, and they're nowhere near the amount that
No,
you need
required
because for
for
legal
therapeutic.
reasons, they
Yeah,
can't do that because if you're on a
no,
medication and you take the actual amount that you need, it can
yeah.
impact on those medications.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what we look at. That's the first thing
Yeah.
that, we do is look at, are there any contraindications between a supplement we're wanting to possibly prescribe and any medications
Yes.
someone is on. Again, it may be like a strict, no, absolutely can't take that, or it might be a timing thing. And
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. You cannot get therapeutic doses from, over the counter
Mm. Yeah.
stuff and often food first, but obviously yeah, that's when I supplement when someone needs a therapeutic dose of something, so like for example vitamin C, because we've been talking
Yes.
about that. So
Yeah.
obviously as nutritionists, food sources first, and foremost. So the highest food sources of vitamin C is your guava, kiwi fruit. Kiwi fruit is also really, really great for stimulating or supporting the production of melatonin.
Yes.
So I often
Heard the
recommend
yellow ones. Are the yellow ones higher in vitamin C? You know, you can get the
no,
golden
the
kiwis.
green.
I always
The,
thought it was
or
the
look, I don't
golden.
know. Maybe it is. Sorry, the green ones are better for the
Melatonin.
melatonin
Yes.
production.
Yeah.
So, if you're finding that your cortisol is out, having just two average size kiwi fruit of a nighttime, so have it for dessert, can help support that melatonin production. So, and conversely, also help that cortisol because they do work synergistically. So just a
Mm,
little thing there. It's also really, really great for if you're constipated, which often happens when you're in burnout and that
yeah.
HPA
Slowing
axis
down
dysregulation. You can either
muscles.
have you can either have just diarrhea or constipation, or a classic sign is that oscillating between the two. So
Yeah.
yes,
My muscles
2 days.
weren't working properly when I burned
Yes,
out. And we forget that the sphincter is a muscle too.
it
So when you go into
is.
the toilet, ladies, it can yeah.
Absolutely. And also, those stress hormones can actually also slow down.
Yeah.
Oranges, strawberries, oranges, papaya, and pineapple as well. Papaya and pineapple are also really, really great if you're got issues with breaking down your food. So if you're getting some, stomach upset, some GIT upsets, having some papaya and pineapple is really good because they've got digestive enzymes in them as well.
I had to have digestive enzymes because basically my digestive system wasn't working. I couldn't
Yeah,
because everything was shutting down. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
yeah, try food first. Otherwise, come and see someone and we can, prescribe that sort of thing. Vegetables, your red capsicum and yellow capsicum are really high in vitamin C. Your
Mm.
broccoli, Brussels sprouts, kale, and parsley. And interestingly, capsicum contains significantly more vitamin C than oranges, gram
Yeah.
for gram.
I say that
So,
in my workshops, and the teachers are
yes.
like, "Oh, interesting."
Yeah, people are always really surprised at that because everyone
Marketed
just thinks
orange as well, haven't
oranges are your go-to. It's just like, no,
they? They've
no, no,
marketed it
no.
well.
Kiwi fruit is really high with and guava for vitamin C, for veg for
For blah.
for fruit, and then yeah, your veggies go for your red capsicum
Mm.
every time.
Yeah,
Um,
like a capsicum. Does it kills off some of the vitamin C when you roast them, doesn't it? Is that right?
I'm
Maybe. Or unless it makes them
actually not
more.
sure. You just
You're not
um
sure. Well,
actually
why are
not
you
sure
looking at
about
it?
that. I do other things, but
Because
not.
I know
I'm not
that if you
thinking.
cook things, sometimes it increases specific nutrients and sometimes it
Yeah.
depletes them. So I try and do a range of raw and cooked where I can.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mm.
when you're in burnout, when you've got anxiety, warm foods are better for you to
Yeah,
support your digestion in the first
absolutely.
instance. But
I
yeah,
couldn't
if
do
you're
salads. Yeah.
heading towards burnout, you can recognize that you've got some of the symptoms. Then yes, definitely, salads, raw food as well as cooked foods, definitely. But when you are probably in that completely depleted mode, because you are in burnout, I would suggest really more nourishing, warming foods
Mm.
because,
Yeah.
when you look at Chinese medicine or Ayurvedic medicine, you cold foods, cold drinks actually dampen down that
Mm.
agni or in Ayurvedic medicine or the triple burner, which is what we call that digestive fire in
Yeah.
Chinese medicine. But
Yeah.
yes, you're right. I just had a Google that yes, roasting capsicum reduces vitamin C content by about 25%. So that is
Ah,
something definitely, yeah, eating that more raw. So yeah, having that in salads or even adding it to the top of. So if you're having roasted vegetables or you're making a stir fry, just add in the
yeah,
capsicum
the
at the
capsicum.
end.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
there you go.
hungry. You make me
Yes,
hungry.
I
I
know.
love
I'm
all
really
this.
hungry now.
I love all this. So coming back to the anxiety compass, because this is what the episode's
Yes,
about.
it
Um,
is.
I find when people think anxiety, they think thoughts, but sometimes we've mentioned a few times it can be so many other things. Like it can be chemical things going on in your body. It could be hormones and stress, physiology. Oh my gosh, I can't talk like you. Blood sugar dysregulation. It could be a nervous system overload, like that you've been doing to over and over and over again. Um, lifestyle, like and burnout. Like there's just so many
Yeah.
things that it can be. Your body's trying to constantly redirect you. And if you keep ignoring it, it's going to get to the point where things won't function as well. And you'll end up like a lot of the women we've seen in our clinic, where their bodies have just stopped producing hormones, whether it's
Mm,
thyroid hormone, whether it's adrenal hormones. Um, Even like I find some women have got really low progesterone and their ovaries are still functioning, but they're too busy
yeah.
producing cortisol because it uses a similar pathway in the steroid pathway. So,
Pathway. Yeah.
yeah. Shall we end with a question? I feel like this episode
Yes,
has been quite a bit of an irony in the sense that
it
Nat's been
really
having
has.
issues with the
I
technology the
know.
whole time. Your computer and your internet is having a burnout. It needs
It
some
really
love.
is it needs some love. I need to stop this and go and love it before we do our next episode.
You keep freezing and doing these really
I
wonderful faces. I
know.
actually took a
I
couple of
know.
photos, which I'm going to share with you.
Oh, excellent.
Yes. So,
All
shall we
right.
end
So,
with a question?
yes, I was about to say that. Do you want me to ask the question?
Yeah, I'd love for you to, if you
Okay.
can get it out without
Yeah,
disappearing.
I know. Quick, go, go. Um, all right. If anxiety and exhaustion were actually messages from your body, what have you been ignoring?
Ah, And I
Really
wonder
lovely
whether it's
reflective question.
a physical thing or a psychological thing that you're
Or
ignoring.
emotional thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Where on the compass are you ignoring? Because there's so many points. And if you haven't listened to our first few episodes, we actually talk about all the different compass points. I feel like we
Mm.
need to do a recap on that somewhere. And yeah, it could be
Yeah.
anything. Where are you going? Where are you leading your body? Come back
Yeah.
to it. Come back to
Yeah.
it. And if you would like to read that book that I mentioned throughout the podcast, it's called Adrenal Fatigue, the 21st Century Stress Syndrome. It was referred to me by Dr. Bia, integrated doctor down the Gold Coast. And
Oh, how
yeah,
lovely.
it talks about, it's by James L. Wilson, and it talks about energy, immune resistance, vitality, and basically enjoyment of life. And it's got lots of wonderful little pictures and cartoons and graphs. And I actually really enjoyed reading that. So I'm sure there's a few other books out there on adrenal exhaustion, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that sounds like a really lovely book, though.
yeah, it does. All right.
Mm.
Well, on that note, we'll love you and leave you. And we're going to go fix Nat's internet
We
issues.
are. Yay. Bye, everyone.
See ya. Thanks for joining us on the Anxiety Compass. If you love this episode, share it with a friend who needs a little laugh and a lot of calm. We'll see you in the next one. Keep following your true north. Disclaimer time. Sammy and Natalie may be clinical nutritionists, but we're not your personal doctors. What you hear is for learning and laughing, not diagnosing or prescribing. If things feel bigger than you, call your doctor or local support line or reach out to a qualified health professional. They've got your back too.